I am eager to present our first round of designs
Yeah.
to you gentlemen for your
Yeah.
review and consideration.
2009 President's Cup, Tiger Woods,
He hits this 4-iron in, massively overblown celebration.
and leaves his hand up in the air and gives it walks down the fairway like that.
Even before cookie jar days, Bruce said to us, Tiger's almost putting his hand in the cookie jar, and that saying stuck somehow. So that's the idea, is behind that shot that Tiger hit in the President's Cup, 2009, 4-iron.
Oh, he's gone for the twirl and the jar. That is cookie jar golf. Hand in the jar.
And that hand there is kind of, I suppose, symbolic of that club twirl where he puts his hands out and dips his wrist.
The normal golf bag, the golf ball pocket, it never has my golf balls in because
Lee Wybranski is a very talented creative who works predominantly in the golf industry. A lot of people will be familiar with his paintings, his vivid watercolors that he creates around major championships, but he also works on logos and brand assets. So, we got to meet Lee at the 150th Open in St Andrews, 2022. And chatting to Lee and just talking about logos, I think that's what sort of like started the flames for this conversation.
As you do with these things, you say, oh, Lee, you should design us a logo one day. And kind of, you say it half in jest and half hoping that he kind of goes, yeah, okay, that's a good idea. So he stupidly said, yeah, okay, that's a good idea.
So huge.
Well, I think it's going to be great fun. Really enjoyed working with you guys at the Open, and I think this is sort of as much out of the box as it is in our wheelhouse, so to speak. We do logo and branding all day, every day, all year long. But at the same time, you're a different sort of a client with some different backstory and aspirations. So it should be a fun, creative endeavor, and hopefully informative for people who are interested in such things.
Lee's quite interested in helping clubs, whether it's refurbish or restore a logo. For example, he works on the refurbishment of the Merion logo, which hasn't changed significantly since it was first set up. But, just tweaking it and constantly making it, suitable. I suppose Lee looks at, the British market and thinks, well, there's potential to do work with clubs there around, refurbishment of some of those club logos.
That's exactly, I imagine a ceramic piece that has a funny object for the lid, like a golf ball. It would have some, funny, quirky thing for the handle on the lid, and then some sort of decoration. If we can create like Winged Foot, like that example, if we can create something that just resonates like directly and instantly, with your name, then people are going to pick that up right away. So it's not like a big leap. There's no, lots of times there might be an abstraction between the name of the club and the visual mark. There might be sort of this non-literal leap that, the designer and the viewer needs to make. But in certain cases, fortunate ones in my regard, such, you have a highly descriptive and highly specific name like you have. And then the challenge just becomes creating a mark that really epitomizes the name, I guess would be the best way to say it. Something that really epitomizes not just your culture and your audience, but the name itself. So
how he can take a room of people with him and get them to a conclusion, that's a really difficult thing to do, particularly with us, where we're three radically different people. And it's quite interesting seeing how Lee handles that. Like, so much of it is not just the creative vision to go off and make something. A lot of it's actually how you communicate, how you win hearts and minds, and how you bring those people along with you. It's cool. It's interesting to see.
First of all, the concept of logos. So the fact that we've got a very descriptive name, Cookie Jar Golf, that we could immediately springs to mind anything to do with cookies, biscuit tins, jars, golf. There's loads of avenues you could go down, and we certainly do want to go down a monogram route again. And then we started looking down, okay, well, we're going to have a jar. Okay, well, we'll have a jar. That completely makes sense. So what jar are we going to have? Well, you can't have a straight jar because that's too formal, and you can't have this type of jar, and you can't have this type of jar, and there's thousands of different variations of jar that we looked at.
Vintage sort of 1920s cookie jars, more sort of modern interpretations, straight lines, curved lines.
And the first thing that we did with Lee was more about identifying what we didn't like. So he gave us a raft of things to choose from. So these are the things that I think could work with cookie jar golf. What do you not like?
The first round of logo designs, we try and plant flags in a lot of different areas stylistically. We go for some different looks and feels. The premise of this is to rule out as much as we can. So the more that you don't like, the better. So don't be shy about voicing your opinions. Just keep it polite.
And then we start to narrow it down that way. We carried through pretty much 3 different logos right to the very end. We had a jar with a lid, we had a jar with a hand, and we had a jar with cross clubs. And right until the very last meeting, I don't know if we knew which one we were going to finish with.
Just putting it out there, I still feel that way, actually. I'd be probably in favour of having a more simplified jar, i.e. I guess the most prominent difference is not just the lid, but those sort of little accents in the bottom left corner as we're looking at it now in the simple jar, but on the jar with the hand. But I really like that hand.
We're going to use this logo predominantly for merchandise, I think. I think it's a great merchandise mark. And I think you can be really tonal with it, like here, where you just change the thread colour slightly against the garment and it's really understated. I've always talked about this idea that it's like pint of milk merchandise. You know, not necessarily stuff, sure, you might wear it to the golf club, but you might just go to the pub in the evening, or you might, you might be down the shop, and you just want to have something golfy on. Just like there's always this weird thing with golfers that you wear this stuff, and it's back to logo culture. That somebody across the room might spot that logo, and there might be some sort of like mutual respect over or bonding over logos. The product range we put together, we've done a load of stuff with Peter Millar, like a really cool range, and a lot of that's pretty exclusive stuff. So it's a lot of the stuff that we've put in the range is slightly higher price, but it's stuff you're not going to see in the pro shop. You know, Peter Millar's pretty well stocked, but this is the range that you don't always, most pro shops don't really carry. Things like the Excursionist quarter zips, pop over hoodie.
The fabric is just, I mean, this thing here, we've got the jar logo.
The fabric on this stuff is absolutely unreal. Like, it's so comfortable.
And then you've got the pop over that's like 1 micron off cashmere. It's just like the fabrics are just like minty and the colors are great.
But we've also got other bits of merchandise that, you know, things like, you know, there's the bag towels, the tees, whether it's bucket hats, tour visors are going to be great. They're not even here yet, but they're going to be unreal. Even the socks, I would sell so many socks now, it's crazy. Is it the end of the monogram? 100% not. Like, from my point of view, like that's like the OG, like that's the original logo. That's the one that's sort of like, that's our sort of staple logo. But this is about creating something where it's just a bit cooler for merchandise, whether it's on the left sleeve of a hoodie or, you know, on a polo shirt or on a bucket hat.